Hello, everyone. And today, honestly, I don't know what we will do today. I will understand it after the lesson, how to name it. And you see the position is opposite colors, bishops and two pawns. Usually, it's easy to evaluate if you can move pawns on the white squares. You most of the time win. This is if you're interested about quick evaluations of these positions. If you can play h5, g5, g6, h6, h7, you can win. The problem here, and you may notice I did not calculate anything. Yes, the problem here when you play g6, if you play g7, bh7, if you play h6, bg6, so it's impossible to move further without the king. The question is impossible or not? Yes, because sometimes you can what is impossible is the most effective. And here bishop is a little bit uh, out of play. Yes, and now we check squeezing. Yes, idea like squeezing from the diagonal because this is critical diagonal for the bishop. Also, we need to see all diagonals possible for the bishop to prevent to spend stop pawns, big and small, like this, like this, like this. We now just scanning. If you didn't watch my previous videos, you can maybe don't catch what am I doing. I'm just scanning the position. Yes, you see, it's better to see all diagonals, by the way. Okay, but now this one is critical diagonal. Yes, and we also must immediately see maybe it can switch to another diagonal, but first we check squeezing out of diagonal. Like an example, if we see defensive technique if is prophylaxis. If you play h5, g5, g6, he keeps staying. We cannot play g7, bh7. We cannot play 6, bg6. So and to bring king is too slow. We can try to push the bishop from out of diagonal. And if it's play bg6, h5 phase with the tempo, it's good, but it can control this diagonal. And if it's play bh7, g6 is with the tempo. But this can come back later to a 5 square because of drawback principle. We play h5, good. We play g5, good. We play g5, and it can come back bf5. Yes, and then we play g6, and again g7, bh7, h6, bg6. But we one tempo win one tempo by g3 here, and let's say bh7, h5. He can try to bring his king c6, g5, bf5, king f4, and now g6, king g5, king h6, maybe to blockade h7. Maybe effective or not. We don't know. We don't calculate yet. But this is definitely big improvement. Another possibility is to play b g6, b e8, and bf7. Yes, we need to see as much as possible possibilities to blockade from this diagonal, and another possibility maybe somehow from this diagonal. Always check the color, and we have dark square bishop and dark square promotion. Yeah. So there is no options to sacrifice the bishop for the pawn, and because it's still will lose the game. Okay, so this is also a possibility. Like h5, it's going to play b8 with idea h6, bg6, and if now we need to bring king to h4 to play g5. Yes, it seems very complex. So if he plays bg6 and we play h5, be8 or bf7, it seems very hard to push g5 now. And only way I see to push g5 is to bring king to h4, and it's to play 6 king g5, king f6, king g7. Possible, but too hard. Yeah, too hard. So I assume from this main defensive idea is bg6, not bh7, because after bh7 we quite easily push pawns and bring the king. So I assume this is or this one or this one. One of these ways is can be interesting, and So his defensive idea to bring bishop to this diagonal, and notice we would spot this diagonal by scanning, not by calculating. If you just calculate, you will get mad because oh my God, there's zillions of candidates moves and and how can you see diagonal by by uh, uh, by creating a list of candidates moves? It won't work. It won't work. Okay. So this is the main defensive resource. How can we win the game despite of this? Like king e3, an example, bg6, maybe king f4, g5. And now we bring the queen and the king, and king blockades g6. At some point, it will create threat h6. And there is no bg6 because king is here. It is possible. But from that, we can understand, oh, maybe c6 is the best defensive trick because after g5, b8, after h5, still be8, but not king f4, g5 with the tempo. Yes. So, and now we assume bc6 is main defensive resource. Drawback king cannot stay on c6. So, we need to see it, but I assume it's not a big problem. Like king can go to c7, d7, e7, etc. And his idea is to put bishop on e8. And if we continue with king f4 with the same idea to play h5, king g5 with the threat h6, h7, what he does. What he does, what he does. Maybe e5 open this diagonal. Let's say e5, king e5. What about this diagonal? If he plays bd7, threatening to take g4 pawn. If I just play g5, be8, but what's the problem? King f6, g6. It's winning, yeah, it seems winning. No, I don't think it's correct. Like king e3, bc6, king f4 with idea king g5. What would and when you see you are kind of winning, yes, and you feel you are winning, to prevent bg6, bh7, you need to try to refute your idea. Like you put yourself on your opponent's place. So in the moment you feel like you are winning, if you're not well trained, and I assume people who watch this video probably outstanding already, but yeah, nearly everyone has this weakness if they don't train hard. Have this problem when you assume you are winning, your brain turn off. It's like, it's already winning and it's becoming lazy. It does not calculate anything. It's just turning off. And there is many reasons why your brain can just boom done, don't work anymore. The reason why is it happening? It's happening all the time because your brain wants to save resources, doesn't want to spend much energy. And whenever your brain can turn off, it turn off. Whenever it's turned off, you need to train yourself, turn on it, find the way. Or the way we turn on our brain when it stops with seeing winning, yes, winning position, winning idea, we turn the board. Like we ask, question ourselves, how would I play here if I play as black? Like you are playing white and you see winning idea and you say, okay, so I see this idea, it's kind of winning, but what would I do as black? I know this idea is winning for white. How will I refute it? Whenever you turn yourself as a black, your brain boom start to work again and you can see more ideas. An example, the idea for white is to bring king to g5. What would I do as black to prevent this idea? Okay. I think so. Defensive idea is basically here or controlling some of these diagonals. Yes. And the idea is to play king f4, king g5 here. But when king moves to g5, there is again b4. This is interesting. And also bb5, bd3 from this side. You see, when we turn ourselves to the black side, we see more ideas quite effortlessly. An example, king f4, bb5. Why not? king g5 is not that effective anymore because bd3. And why is it not winning after king f6, g5, g6? King f6, king c7, g5, king d8, g6, king e8. g7, bh7 is fine, has to be fine. But I don't force to play g7. I play h5 or 6 or 7. This is way h5, king f8, h6, king g8. Can it be drawn by anyway? I don't think so. Let's just check my summon. Yeah, it cannot be drawn. Just a 7, king h8, and bb2. What out to which way? And this pawn is yeah, this pawn if there is no this pawn, there is probably some stalemate, like sacrifice pawn, sacrifice bishop in go further, but there is no. I don't see it. So this one seems not working. This like wait for the king g5 and play b4 maybe. So let's check. This is 6, king f4, king c7. If king g5 b4 back, the idea is, and if h5, if b e8 now, still king g5 with the threat s6. Winning the tempo because it needs to respond to the threat. Let's say king d8 instead of this. Then h6, h6, e4 is, yeah, e4 is weak. I mean e4 is defended. Yeah, and nothing. Yeah. Okay, I don't see refutation. That is, we can put more effort. Obviously, we must when you just saw part of it because I'm recording video. So the most important moment actually is when you want to stop, continue a little bit, yes, and then you can continue more. But whenever you want to stop, put more effort. It's very important pattern. This is just killing pattern for chess and life. Yeah, let's do it together. So give me 3 more defensive resources like bc6, maybe somewhere bd5, the idea e5 and more bishop from this side. But then bd5 kind of cannot prevent h5 with the threat s6. It doesn't make sense. h5, maybe e5, h6, bg8, preventing from king f4. King e3. No, basically we can play king f4 anymore. Yeah. bf3. Provoking g5, bh5. But king f6, we won't just go. Is any counterplay? It seems too slow, very slow. Not real. But more ideas are available. So f3 is possibly f3 is one more defensive resource. This diagonal can be one more defensive resource. Sometimes something like weird attacking from h5 square will work out because after g8 there is some blockade, but it doesn't work here. Especially with this bishop, of course, it is opposite to work better. But what else? Yeah, some weird ideas when we can attack from this side and provoke g5 and then play bh5, and it may be okay and bring somehow king. But I don't see the right, like, okay, king e3, bc6, yeah, perhaps king f4, e5, but we play it with idea king g5. Then e4 square is available, but it still looks not good. f3 square is important. f3 square is important. This is 7, h5, is 7, if h6, b4, king f6, bf3, h6. I mean, it seems like we're losing g5 and Okay. I mean, if I just solve puzzle, I would calculate more and try to find more defensive ideas, but let's see what computer does. Ph7 is place, which we eliminated one of the first options because the drawback of Ph7 G6 with the tempo. What computer wants to do? Like after all, against all this, we played king f4. Was the idea because king g5 with the tempo, or there is h6 idea and no bg6 in these variations. Now our initially we wanted to play h5. What is the trick? The idea with bh7 we checked were to wait for g5 and play bf5. H5, let's say king c7 or king c6. More active because it also can somehow pretend to attack here, which is of course slow, but mainly to come back. E5, remove the king, cut the king, fortress. Ay. G5, bf5, and king cannot penetrate. And now it's just fortress. Wow. It's just fortress, h5, e5, and it just blockade here, and bishop will move to f5 square, and only infiltration square f4, but then h4, but it's too slow, king can reach e7 square, I assume. So we need to eliminate e5. We need to kill the fortress and play king f4 or king d4 here. And then he has access to g3 square, which is a little bit annoying square. Because now if we play h5, g5, g6, we still have king g5. And he is not forced to play bd3 right now. He also has possibility to play e5 at the decoy the king. Also c6, d6, e5, 7 if needs. But king f4 is a logical move, right? King f4, let's say king c6. Also king e5 is, I don't understand how he has any counterplay and shoulder here. It's possible. I can just shoulder his king like king f4, e5, 6, g7. And if she cannot blockade with the king, she just lose the game. Awesome. But then the question is, why not both away? And d4 is also doesn't allow bd3 option. Like it's only a 5 square will be available. So I can play h5, g5, and she must play bf5. And this is different. Bf5 is not the same as bd3. King f5, king f6, king g7. But more important, we just shoulder the king. So he has fortress defensive trick. He obviously have this, and maybe he has counterplay here. But it seems too slow. These pawns are running so fast. So king d4 comparison. h5 is still not eliminated completely, but it seems after e5 there is some hope. King d4 seems like hope is both, but let's say king d4, king c6, king e5, king d7, king f6. Maybe he can through these 2 pawns. Maybe this counterplay. e5, king e5. King e5, king e7, e5. Wait, e5. Interesting. g5, e4, g6. But it's too slow. Yeah, it's too slow. Yeah, just promote it. So king d4 seems winning, but king e4 allows bd3, yes, at some point. But what, king e5? b2, maybe? If bd3, bd2, king f4, bd3. If I play h5, what right then? King c7, How can I proceed? I cannot play g5. If I play king e5, maybe b2 provoking e6, bd3. I don't want to allow bd3, by the way. I don't see any meaning, but king e4 has access to g5 square. King d4, maybe there is this diagonal. So come back. King e5. The idea is to play after h5 b8, but it seems like absolutely nonsense, like king f6 f6, g5 g6. Yeah. For me, because of I don't want to allow more defensive tricks to my opponent with bd3, bd2. I would simply play king d4 in real game, and I still can shoulder the king. Like yeah, I can simply bring my king to g7, and it's absolutely winning this way. And I don't see any drawback to play king d4 comparing with king d4 with this. Basically, in real game, I just play king d4. Yeah, I don't need to check more. Yeah, yes, there is some drawback. We cannot play king g5, but it's basically only on this diagonal. But now king just closer to f6, which is also no problem. Okay, I take risk, and I probably will do mistake. If you want to solve puzzles, for sure you need to think more. But I also emphasize to take practical decisions which we take in real life, not decisions which we need, which you check for 2 hours. Everything it's it's not real. You never have 2 hours. You need to train yourself to ask this question all the time. How can I take decisions much quicker? And for me, king d4 is just quicker, and it's wrong. Yeah, we will check later why. Here king c6, king e5, and king f6, king g7. Oops, and it's wrong idea itself. h5 is only move which makes sense. Wait, king g5, h6, g7. Yeah, this side. Yeah, and it's quite tricky in this case. Like I thought I have access to g7 in any way. Let's check now. Let's check with the engine. So king d4, his defensive idea is king c6. If I put king e5, she's winning. Wow, she's winning. a5. Wow, I just thought it's too slow, but he's even winning here. Let's say g5, bf5, g6, just king b4. Wow. g7, bh7, h7, a2. And this diagonal, yeah, skewer here. Wow. It seems too slow, but this is nice. Just king b4 and 1, 2, 3. It's not slow. It wasn't slow. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's, by the way, the pattern. How do we calculate pawn endgames and many endgames? We don't calculate move by move. We calculate 1, 2, 3, especially pawn races. 4, 5, 6. Yes, 7. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this simultaneous promotion, then we need to check carefully tempo by tempo. But somehow I thought it's too slow, all of that. But maybe, yeah, I don't understand why, because it's not that hard. Yeah, my intuition just said it's impossible, but it's just very simple. And I didn't want to play king e4, which is a logical move, but I didn't want to allow additional options with bd3. And I thought I shouldered the king anyway. Sure. Yeah. And it just draw. h5, he just blockade. It's not blockade, he just play king b5 and go for counterplay. Okay. This is my defensive idea, by the way, just put this pawn, which I absolutely missed, which is strange because first we need to check attacking ideas, and I checked all the diagonals, and yeah, I was attached to diagonals instead of checking attacking these ideas, which is the right way of thinking. Like this is pawn race, obviously. This is obviously pawn race, and first what we need to check pawn race. Yeah, that's bad by me. But it's very good mental mistake, by the way. Yeah, if you attach to one idea, you don't see anything else. I was too busy with diagonals to see it's all about pawn race. Very good mistake. Very useful mistake. Okay, and finally, king f4, which I assumed is correct. I didn't like to give additional options, but it simply doesn't work by anyway. Yeah. B2 does absolutely nothing. Yeah. And still can resound. Yeah, another point, like here, intuitively, I don't want to put pawns like this, like on the dark squares, because the bishop kind of can blockade. And the pattern which I showed you initially, we move by like squares and win. This is how do we usually play. And the problem is, as usually, yes, as always, attachment to this conception, because sometimes we win by, in this exact example, yes, we win by pushing on the dark squares because simply we can support with the king. Yeah, this is good one. This is good mistakes. All of these mistakes just gold, you know. This is how does mind works, yeah. And yeah, here is not BG3. He played king d7, yeah, in game, and yes, of course, shouldering, and this is just so with the tempo. Okay, and another idea was BG6, H5, BE8, and oh, even H6 is winning, and just bring king in. Yeah. Which is also missed because we move pawns by using dark squares. Yeah. Yeah, which is nice. Yeah, and it's kind of good to know we can move our pawns through the dark squares if we can support with the piece to push forward, and opponent can bring his king. Just this is the way we change our mind, and because all the time we make these mistakes, yeah, our simple mental mistakes, and if we correct them, we definitely can just don't repeat it. Yes, like the next time with similar structure, you simply can easily to see all of that without any effort. And not only this, like we correct pattern, like we see mental mistake, like attachment to pushing pawns on the light squares, and then we don't see dark squares push, which is normal. It works everywhere. If you attach to one concept, you don't see anything else, and this is very, very powerful. You will notice zillions of mental mistakes by all. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video, and I wish you limitless growth, yeah, and happiness, peace from Cambodia. Yeah, that was poor Cambodian chess, you know. Yeah. If you still think we play bad in Cambodia, so welcome. Bye bye.